I have a secret to tell you. Most people in the United States don't know this, but organ donation is a billion-dollar industry. And when one of my loved ones died, they tried to pressure me to do something that I did not want to do. Howdy, y'all. I'm Scarlett, and welcome to my first episode.
Yay, go Scarlett!
And today we're going to be talking about some things you might not know about organ donation. So in the United States, hospitals are federally mandated, you heard that right, federally mandated to call their local organ procurement agency once somebody has died or if they're near death, regardless whether or not that person was an organ donor. So why do they do that though? Why are they calling them even if that person wasn't an organ donor? Well, they want to make sure they don't miss a possible opportunity for donation. To give an example, say somebody is brought into the hospital who's been in a traumatic car accident and it's not looking good for them. The nurses have to, I'm sure they have designated nurses or doctors who call an organ procurement agency. Then that OPO then determines what organs are viable, XYZ. Okay, now should that person be declared brain dead, the family of this person, the next of kin, will get a call on the phone most times, and they will say, did you know that your loved one has the ability to save lives through an organ donation of their heart, of their kidney? And oftentimes the person will respond on the phone, oh, well, my loved one actually isn't an organ donor. I'm good. Obviously not that nice. They're experiencing the worst moments of their life. And to them, no doesn't mean no. They don't take no the first time. They literally act like car salesmen. So their response is, but it won't cost you any money. But what misconceptions do you have about organ donation that makes you not want to do it? But don't you know that you could be saving lives? Now, this doesn't only happen whenever somebody is near death or brain dead, whatever that means. It also happens once someone has died. But a lot of you are asking, Scarlett, why do you care so much and why are you even talking about this? Oh, because it happened to me. Yeah, without getting into too many details, because this story is one for a different video, 2.5 years ago, my dad passed away unexpectedly. And when it was just me and him, and he died in my arms. It was very, very sad. I had picked him up from the hospital 15 minutes earlier, thought he was fine. And when the paramedics got there, he was dead on arrival and taken to the hospital, declared dead there officially. And I'm experiencing the worst moment literally of my whole entire life. As of not even an hour earlier, I thought my dad was going to see his grandchildren. Anyways, I have to go view his dead body. After that, I get taken into this room and the nurses hand me over a sheet of different cremation options. And even though I'm very distraught, I tell the nurses, oh, well, I'm not gonna cremate him, so no thanks. And they were kind of trying to push me to do that. At the time, I was so grief-stricken that I just brushed it off. It's not a big deal. They just see 21-year-old girl by herself. It was just her and her dad. You know, we just want to make this easier for her. That's what my naive self was thinking. Now I think that's really weird. They were trying to push me to cremation, but anyways, stood my ground. So then they just gave me a list of funeral homes, picked out literally just a funeral home at random, and they told me you'll get a call once the funeral home calls you. That's all I was told. When the funeral home gets your dad, you're gonna get a call. Okay, so I was so worried, even though those of you who've lost someone close to you know what I'm talking about. He was gone, like he was dead. I viewed him, I was there when he died. I knew that, but like my mind was like, he's kind of like alive still. So I was very worried. I wanted to know that he was picked up okay. I waited by the phone. Hours went by, no phone call from the funeral home. Like, it's okay, they're just busy. Finally, my phone rang, ding, 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 from an unknown number. I pick up the phone and I answer it, and they say, "Is this Scarlett Cullen?" Yeah. And I'm like, okay, this is the funeral home. They have my dad. No, it wasn't the funeral home. And they say, "Did you know that your dad has the ability to save lives through a donation of his corneas and skin grafts?" I froze. I literally froze. My heart sank down into my stomach because my dad was not an organ donor. And so I'm thinking to myself, this must be a mistake. So I just tell them on the phone, I'm like, no, well, my dad's not an organ donor. So I thought that was it. I thought it was going to be the end of the story. And then they hit me with, well, why not? What misconceptions do you have? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, how can they ask me what my misconceptions are? My dad's not even an organ donor. Why are you asking me? And I was like, it goes against his wishes and his family's. Well, it won't cost you anything. Well, you could be saving lives. So then I was really pissed off. And my response was just, oh, because my dad's not a car that you're going to scrap for parts. Hung up the phone. Anyways, I was dealing with a lot of things. Well, time has gone by now, and I still cannot shake that interaction that I had on the phone with those people. So then, the anniversary of my dad's death was October 27th, so we're a few months removed from that. And I've just been thinking about that incident since then. I'm like, wow, that was really messed up. That was really so wrong that they did that to me, and they tried to pressure me. See, I get fired up. I get really fired up when I talk about this because it's so messed up. And I wanted to know, I was like, who gave them my number? I want to know who gave them my number. Like that was really the gist of it. So I looked it up online. I did a little search. And when I found out that it's a federal mandate, it is a federal mandate that hospitals contact organ procurement organizations once someone has died or if they're near their death. I was sick to my stomach, specifically when I read the part that says, regardless of whether or not they were an organ donor. So why do we put it on our license then? If you guys just try to go and pressure our family in their state of grief. So like the whole thing is rotten, to be honest, but the kicker that gets me is how they try to guilt you when you say no, but you could be saving lives. Okay. Well, those cronies told me that about my dad, asking for his corneas. Now, I'm no doctor. I think anyone can tell. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse. I'm certainly not a medical professional. I don't know much, but I know that cornea transplants are not life-saving procedures. And I certainly know that my dad's 63-year-old skin is not life-saving. I know enough to know that. Second of all, no just means no. Like organ donation is something where it's like, if you don't want to do it, you don't need to have to like explain to people. It's like, why don't you want us to skin you after you die? It's really not that deep. Well, it is for me. Okay, that's all the explanation I need. But if it's really important for you, for me to describe why it's important, why I don't want to do it, if I have to explain to you why I don't want to do organ donation, I'm going to tell you why. It is my conviction in line with my faith. Now, I know there are Christians who do not agree with this. That's fine. But this is the way the Spirit's moved me. I want to go back into the earth whole, just as I came into this earth. That's my conviction. That's what's on my heart. No shame at all to anyone who's an organ donor. It's a great and selfless thing that you can do. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. It doesn't make me a bad person. And I've made videos about this on my TikTok. And a comment that I get on there from a couple haters, it's like, well, you're just gonna go into the ground and you're gonna rot anyways. So who cares? Who cares? You're selfish. Okay, I'm selfish. Boo, I'm selfish. What? Do you want me to argue with you? I'm not going to argue with you. You have a ridiculous point of view. It's not even an argument. Like, what you're saying is not even like, you can't feel that way because your body's going to rot in the ground. Okay, we have a difference in worldview. That's obvious. I believe my body's a temple. I believe I was created with value, that every person is endowed with value. I don't want to do it. Matter of fact, in the United States, we have something that's called expressed consent, right? In terms of organ donation. Therefore, you have to express consent to be an organ donor. So the assumption is you're not an organ donor. If you want to be one, you have to express it, which is why when you get your license, they ask you if you want to be an organ donor. So why is that disregarded when somebody dies? Why? Why is that disregarded? And then you go and run off to the family, to the grieving family. So you might be asking, okay, why are you talking about this? Well, because I want people to know that this is a requirement in the United States for hospitals to do. I want you to be prepared in the way that I wasn't. So whenever you can get that call, you can tell them to go scram. Don't call my phone. Don't let them pressure you. If that wasn't your loved one's wish, trust me, if your loved one wanted to be an organ donor, they would have put that on the license. Why else do I want to talk about this? I want this practice to stop. Let express consent be express consent. Let it mean no, right? That's what it's there for. So respect express consent. Number 3, if they still have to call, it's like, we want to save the most amount of lives possible, aka they want to make the most amount of money possible. Then let the first no be no. And we're also tired, and I say we because there's a lot of people like me. If you go and watch my TikTok video, you'll see that I have over 1,000 comments of people sharing their stories of the exact same thing that happened to them. We are so tired of whenever people talk about this, like, these organ groups, they're so charitable. They're nonprofits. They're nonprofits. You need to stop saying they make money. Girl, wait a minute. You actually think that nonprofits don't make money? Quick question, have you ever been to Goodwill before? Show of hands. I have. Have you ever donated clothes at Goodwill before? Yeah, you go and you drop off your old clothes there, and then they go and they make 100% profit on the clothes. They sell them. They don't give them away to people in need for free, right? Am I right or wrong? You give your clothes away for free at Goodwill, then they go and mark them up, and now when you go into Goodwill, it's like ridiculous, honestly. It feels like you're not even at a thrift store anymore with the prices, but they go and sell the clothes. They don't give them for free. Same thing with organ donation. They go and harvest the organs for free and then charge lots of money for them. So don't be calling our phone telling us, oh, but it won't cost you any money. You know what I think needs to happen? These organ procurement organizations, they ought to be covering the cost of their donors' funerals. Did you know that since 1970, the number of cemeteries in the United States has stayed stagnant? Did you know that in 1970, 5% of deaths were cremated? 5%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, you heard that right. What do you guys think it is now? It's over 70%. people can't afford the price of burial. How many of you, when your loved one died, you were not prepared for the costs? You had to do a farewell that was not what you planned. It was not what you wanted. That's why if somebody is, giving what we're being told is this gift of life, and these groups are making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars off of these organs, throw us some change. I'm not asking for a check just to be written. I'm not asking for money to just be thrown to these families, but cover the funeral. Cover part of the funeral. Let these people be laid to rest in an honorable way. I think that's fair because I get it. It's against federal law. Organs cannot be bought or sold. So I'm not asking you to pay for the price of the organ of the family, but I am saying that part of the funeral cost needs to be covered for sure. For sure. And you know what? That's the least that they can do. That is the least that they can do. And you know what? That's the least that they can do. Cover the cost of your donors' funerals. That's it. So anyways, y'all, stay tuned for episode 2 and subscribe, leave a comment if this is something that has happened to you, you've experienced this personally, because I really want to inform people that this is a practice that happens in the United States. I'm tired of this not being a spoken about issue, okay? This can't keep going on. We need to talk about it because these groups will abuse corpses, right? They pressure families to give consent for organ harvesting once their loved one is gone. Why? Because dead people, or they think dead people can't talk, right? Dead people don't have memories. They're not alive anymore. Oh, but their families are. I am. I can talk. And I'm not going to let this keep happening as much as I can. I'm going to inform people. And people wonder, they have all these theories about, oh, why is our society like this and our society's like that? We have, first of all, don't respect the Lord. That's number one. That's number one. But a society that cannot respect the dead cannot respect the living. It's actually got to start there. You have to be able to respect the dead first before you can respect the living. So I'm trying to normalize that. We need more Christian burials. We need to help families do more Christian burials. We're one nation under God, and we need to go back to that because I'm sorry if some of y'all haven't been paying attention, but we haven't been like that for a while. So subscribe, comment if you want to hear more about this. Episode 2 is going to be an interesting one. But yeah, y'all, let me know if you've experienced this. And I'm looking forward to speaking with you guys again. Bye.